let's get going with all our good stuff. I was playing around a little bit before the stream with my HUD because I didn't like the way that it looked, and I still don't, to be honest with you. Let's set up everything in OBS properly. So I actually was like playing around a little bit with maybe seeing if I can combine the like HP display together with like the display for these little things, and I think this kind of looks bad. So we're definitely not going to do this, but maybe we'll scale them down to like 0.75% size for all of these. Maybe then I can just do it like a little bit more like this. A little bit smaller. Oh no. It's a little messy. I'm thinking that maybe we just don't want to have the round HP bar situation, because that's just taking up a lot of like screen real estate, which I don't personally love maybe. So maybe what we can do instead is still have the whole like circular like visual. This is not what today's stream is going to be about, by the way. Today's stream is going to be mostly about items. I was just playing around with all this stuff a little bit. And of course, immediately I have connection issues. I don't think I'm uploading anything anymore. I finished my Patreon upload. I finished my YouTube upload. So hopefully it's not going to be difficult about this, because that would suck. Run a transform. So yeah, I set this to like 1, and what the fuck is even up with this positioning? What? Why is it? I don't even know. I don't even know, man. I don't even know. Hello, welcome to the stream. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say. Oh, the scale's still at 0.5.5, so I just like entirely fucked something else up, I guess. So yeah, I was thinking maybe what we can do is have something circular here as like a connecting visual, and just have the amount of like experience or souls still displayed in the middle, and then just have the HP bar below it. Or maybe even the HP bar in the bottom left or the top right. I don't really know what I want to do with like a HP display, to be honest with you. I have to figure that out at some point, I'm sure. But that point wouldn't be today. So yeah, I probably would do something a little like this, right? If my internet doesn't shit itself, that is. And then put this like below. I think I like the like visual look of having that circle with those 4 icons over it. A little bit more centered than it is right now. But obviously you don't want this to be your HP bar, because it kind of obfuscates the majority of your HP bar. So I think if we take this general like shape for just like the button prompt and then have an HP bar like below it, that might work fairly well. But again, that's not what we're working on today. What we're working on today, because the thumbnail says so, is item drops. So I want to make drop tables. I lined up all my enemies over here for testing purposes. I want to make drop tables for them. I first need to program the drop tables functionality, obviously, because we have a drop table asset, and it has like a visual like editor, so I can go over here to drop tables, and I have a way to edit the drop table data assets, but that's about it. So we need to get working on that. Let's first go to my item folder, copy the path to the drop table folder, put it in there, maybe make this a little bit bigger. Yeah, I'm really liking the cell shader. Like, I'm very happy to have switched over to that. And like, even with downloaded assets, this is just an asset that I downloaded. of the Fab marketplace for the thumbnail, honestly. We're going to make our own chest at some point. But even with downloaded things that aren't necessarily supposed to be stylized, it works relatively well as long as you just don't hook up the normal map to it. It has a little bit of like a green, like almost glitchiness to it, but I also think that actually, if you don't look up very close to it where you can actually see the pixelation and the like weirdness to it, it looks pretty good. So yeah, let's start by making some drop tables. So I was thinking the first one, we can just make a basic drop table of essentially something that every enemy in the game can drop. Let's just see. I hate when my things open up on my main monitor. Can we just like not do that maybe? Maybe I should just be streaming off of my second monitor and everything can pop up on my main monitor then. Because of that, yes. Not that anything like too important is happening here. Open widgets. Not receiving enough data. I think that should be fixed now. So I really don't like the fact that it keeps that error up there. YouTube's dashboard is fucking horrible. So yeah, a basic drop table that is effectively going to exist on every enemy in the game, which is going to be able to drop some basic items. So the items that you might use to craft effectively like any of the things in the game. Like things for basic potions. Just that kind of stuff. For that, we first need to make those items. I just like had that realization as I was talking. So I guess we actually... So somebody else is once again fucking with my internet. Steam isn't downloading anything either anymore. No, that shouldn't even matter for my upload. Yeah, no, I can't do anything about that. I don't know. So let's get started with all that. I guess we start making some items first. So we actually copy over the folder path for items and paste that in there. And then we just go over to, I guess, basic items for now. We can always change around the item type. But for now, I think we just need like basic crafting ingredient items. Which should be fine to just be like base items. So let's just make like a magic essence. Or something. Should we call it magic essence? Is there other like other words for magic essence that I maybe can use, because magic essence sounds a little like maybe not great. I don't know. We can always rename these later, I suppose. Like magic assets essence. We make that new asset. We have magic essence. The name will be, which I copy that over. Magic essence. Is that a plugin for Asset Manager? This is a editor UI widget that I made, which I made initially to showcase or edit drop tables with. But then I expanded it to also being able to edit my items with. I guess this technically doesn't classify as a blueprint item now. Does that matter? Do I do anything in the blueprint item class? But it's actually able to edit any kind of data asset now. So I also have this event flag data asset, which only has a bool in it. I can also edit those with it now. I probably should make something where it highlights the currently selected. Oh, that's actually not a bad idea. I'm going to do that in a moment. But first I want to check, does my blueprint item like do anything? It adds a linear color. Yes, I actually want to use that, I think. So let's change this back over to BP item. And then in our item assets real quick, we made this magic essence. Let's convert the data type to BP item. And now that we've done that, we refresh the list and it's in there. Fantastic. Inventory icon is just going to be something temporary because I don't have anything for it. So it's going to be like this evil looking motherfucker. Max stack size, let's say up to 99. Value, freaking like 15, I don't know. And just normal metadata class. World color can be... Let's make it just white for basic items. Like basically just like crafting ingredients. I think those being white makes sense. Anyway, before we move on, I actually do like the idea that I just came up with. I'm going to do that real quick. So inventory contents. That should be really easy to change around, right? I'm adding all these things here. Vertical box slot, all that kind of good stuff. I have a thing here somewhere, I think, for the object that I have. I'm checking. So, oh, I don't think I have a variable for that anymore, do I? No, I do. I guess bind on clicked, that only sends through the data assets. Yeah, that's a little bit more annoying than I thought it was going to be. So maybe I don't do that right now. Well, actually, no, that is still going to be fairly easy because I have this list button, which definitely, by the way, should also be in my plugins folder. Hold on. Otherwise, when I package this, it's not going to have that in it. Like when I click on this, we can just change the color, right? Of the of this border. Oh no, I don't think that's gonna work. Let's just give it a try, and if this doesn't work, I'll figure this out on my own at some point in time. But set color. Let's set it to like a light blue. Might work. Like a darker kind of light blue, maybe more saturated, darker. I don't know if this is gonna work. Let's run it again. When we click on something, yeah, but it doesn't refresh. So every time I click on anything, it actually switches it around. Because it doesn't regenerate the entire list every single time. So that's not quite like how that works. Although I guess what I can do is in this, I can just send through the list button. Don't you love when I just get absolutely distracted and not doing what I'm supposed to be doing? So that sends that through now, but that will... What the fuck are you talking about? Could not find a new pin for parameter called clicked. Will this fix it? That fixes it. Good. Now this is going to have some issues because this needs an event that matches. Custom event 0. Give in the data assets. And I guess the click button itself. Oh, that might be an issue. Yeah, let's just ignore that entire ID for now, to be honest with you. We'll get back to it, but not right now. Where even is my details editor? Fucking hell. There we go. Dock it back in there. Okay, so little detour ends up being not as easy as I thought it was going to be, so we're going to ignore that. We have magic essence. Okay, so another item that I probably want to make is, let's go back into our items, item assets. We just copy the path, put that in there. Is probably health. Oh, health. Essence. Or something like that. This time I'm going to copy over the name, because when I make this new... Oh, this is going to need to be a BP item, actually. I like to just copy in the name. There we go. And we have a temp icon for this too. I think we also have like a green, like friendly icon, right? That we can use for this. Maybe, yeah, there we go. I think I set the value for the other ones of 15, which actually I can just check by clicking on this, 15, and then up to 99 stack. Hi, does your inventory contain using an item as well? It kind of does, yeah. I think. Maybe it does, maybe that's... I think it does. Yeah. I'm fairly certain that we make a function on the data asset that runs some code that you can access through the menu, like the UI. It's fairly easy to set up. We're actually going to... Well, no, we're not going to do something like that right now, actually. We're going to make a function on a data asset, but like entirely removed from using items directly. So we have magic, health essence, and then I guess we also want to make items for each one of these. So I guess we just get started with that. Let's call this light soul. And I don't think I have like an image for this. Let's just make all of these Android icons for now. And I think these I'm going to make like a slightly more yellowish kind of color. I'm going to copy that over. Going to start the tutorial right now. There's a lot of content there, so I hope that you managed to get through it. There's a little bit of messiness halfway through with the drag and drop system, which I'm not entirely happy with, but do you make models with Blender? Yeah, so I make most of the models primarily in Blender, and then for a lot of them, I also then go into ZBrush after I made a basic model to sculpt in a lot of detail that I use for like making the textures and that kind of stuff. I guess we call this a rotten soul because it's a zombie. Oh, actually, it probably should come up with the page of the item that you just made when you make a new item, eh? Yeah, I think it should. Because I'm already fucking this up. Health essence. Let's go back to this, and then, okay, before we move on, I think I'm going to do that, because that shouldn't be too difficult. When we like create a new asset, that new asset is then also going to just be somewhere in here, set object view, there we go. Like, that should be all there is to it, I think. Now it should do that. So let's update these. Light soul. I'm just going to give everything a thunder image for now. Because otherwise it's going to get really annoying. Everything's just going to get 99. I made a character, but I can't texture them with no proper tutorial on YouTube. They just show you how to paint, but how to save the texture, no one told. So yeah, saving textures in Blender is a bit of a mess. There definitely are tutorials specifically for it. I think I have one on the channel somewhere. I don't know. But there's definitely the information out there. But it's just doing the textures and like saving them to images is kind of a pain in the ass if you're using Blender, because it's not very intuitive. Anyway, I guess we call this one a Dark Soul. Hey, hopefully I don't get sued. And we make that new asset and it immediately opens it up. Great. And then we have what are we going to call the item for this dude? I guess we call this a... Actually, while we're at it, I want to do one more thing. When I make a new asset. Oh, yeah, no, that might be a little annoying to do, actually. Yeah, never mind. I was going to say I want to just give it in this name as well and set its name field, but then I would have to, like, cast stuff, and I don't want to, like, make this have weird dependencies. So let's not do that. Yeah, so let's call this... I mean, I call the enemy a ghost, but it's not really ghost-like, is it? We can just call this a lost soul. That's creative, right? So we have one more item there. Then we... I guess we call this a... Coming up with names is the most difficult thing in life for about anything, really. Variable names are one thing because you can just name them whatever you want, and as long as they're kind of descriptive, that's fine. But like these are like user-facing names, so they have to make some kind of sense. I guess we could just call it a Reaper Soul. That's kind of fine. No, that's not what I want to do. This is still a lost soul. I need to make the asset first. This is definitely going to be a magic soul because it's a mage. It's a shaman. So we make a new asset, magic soul. And then we'll have all of the like soul items done in a moment. But there's going to be a bunch more items. I think some of these are also just going to straight up like drop potions, maybe. I haven't really like thought through the like game design as far as all this goes. For like actual implementation, like what items are going to drop and all that kind of stuff. I'm just kind of winging it as I go. For now, I'll just call it a spider soul. I'm sure that is... oh, god damn it. It's set to normal item again. Okay, we'll take care of that in a moment. That is highly annoying. But we can mass update them, I'm pretty sure. And then I think what we want to do is we want to make a... What do we call this? We call this a like flying golem, but that's very much like a development name. What is this thing going to actually end up being called in the final game? I don't know. I haven't really thought about that. Again, I'm bad at names. Let's think about what they do. They are flying, like, defense sentries, essentially. So I guess a sentry soul? That's a bad name, isn't it? But it's the name that we're going to go for now. And now I want to make a differentiation as well, because all of my enemies follow either one of two different like design directions, being like more hard modeled, hard surface, like artificial beings, and these more organic things. That is very much on purpose. So the way you're going to craft the allied versions of these, you're going to need to have one type of like base soul in the crafting recipe, I think, and then these are going to need different types. So let's say a... How do you spell artificial properly? Artificial... Artificial intelligence. It's always like a weird word when there's a bunch of ice in it. So we do an artificial soul, and then we do a corrupt Guri soul? No. Corrupt. That's still mistyped. Corrupted. That's how you spell that, right? Now I'm second guessing myself on basic words. Yeah, no, that is definitely how you spell that. Good morning, how's your day going? It is going. It's definitely going. Somewhere. So these are going to be corrupted souls. Okay, so we have a handful of like these soul items now, which I think are good to have. What happens if I refresh the list? Is it going to... No, it still is pretty much like in the proper order. That's nice. Okay. Let's go into my item assets real quick here, because all these things that are like these souls and the essences. I didn't give that an image apparently. Pretty much all of these I should convert to BP items because I'm using colors for them. That takes a moment. So how's everybody watching doing today? Oh, there we go. We have everything under control, I think. Switch this to BP item. There we go. Get rid of like one thing somewhere, doesn't it? Do I have something that is not a... That's probably fine. Yeah. That was a very loud closing of my water bottle. I'm very sorry. Right next to the microphone as well. Oops. So these are pretty good starting points. We'll add more items as we go along, obviously. But this is like a decent list for now. I think we start making drop tables now. So let's copy over my drop table path because it's just easier to do this way. And we make... Well, we can start with a basic drop table, right? I think the basic drop table is going to have a handful of items in it. The first one of which will, of course, be the like magic essence and the health essence, maybe. And there's also going to be an entry for nothing. And I think maybe we should also have the basic drop table like contain a potion. And I think that's pretty good for the basic drop table for now. and then one thing that doesn't do anything. So let's say that these essences, you have like a weight of 3, both of those. Then the potion itself has a weight of 1, and then this has like that together makes a weight of 7. So if I make this a weight of 7 as well, you have a 50% chance to get a drop, at which point you get about a like 40-ish% chance to get either of these, and then a 20-ish% chance to get this, more or less. Well, it actually shows you the void here. So for every enemy I kill, I have a 7% chance to get a potion. Meaning that I get a potion on average every 8 or so enemies. Which I think might be a bit much. So let's maybe increase this to 10. And then increase these both to like 4. So you get 1 magic essence and 1 health essence every 5 enemies on average. And then every 20 enemies you get a potion straight up. It will drop 1 item per drop table. So the way that this is going to work is every drop table is going to have a list of items with weights. And then in every drop table, I'm also going to just add in an empty item with no weight to it at all. Or with a certain weight, but that doesn't drop an item. And if it just rolls that slot, you don't get a drop. So you can see this has about a 52.6% chance of rolling that that empty slot now. So at half the time, you wouldn't get an item. And I think we're actually going to bump this up to like 15 even. And maybe bump these back down to 3. So now about 70% of the time, this basic drop table doesn't give you an item. About 13% of the time, you get 1 item. About 13% of the time, you get this other item. And then about 4.5% of the time, you get this potion. And if I want multiple drops to be calculated, I just add in different drop tables in an array. That's the way that I'm going to do it. But for that, we first need to make something that actually like calculates what drop from the table it does. So these are not the percentage chance that each individual item gets evaluated as. It gets evaluated as an entire table, and it just picks one of the entries from it. So let's say the healing lantern table. We make a new asset, and in that new asset, it doesn't actually seem to like to update. That's annoying. Let me fix that real quick, I guess, because that's gonna annoy the heck out of me, like really badly. Effectively, I have just taken the drop table system as it works in RuneScape, as far as I understand it. Like, that is what this is based on. My understanding of how RuneScape does it anyway. I don't know if RuneScape actually does it this way. I think RuneScape actually does do it a slightly different way. What it does is it has a chance for a drop table to roll. And if you roll that drop table, you're guaranteed a item from that drop table based on its weight. I'm just baking in the chance for the roll into the drop table itself, which I think is easier to design with. Maybe. Maybe not, I don't know. Let's see. We have the drop chance breakdown. I guess we just do this as well, all right? In there. It's a little bit of a messy blueprint now, but we'll... Eventually, I want to get rid of like this part of it entirely and just bake that into the detail overview itself, instead of it being a separate widget that like sometimes shows up. But adding something to the detail overview, like a custom-made widget, turns out it's actually a little tricky to do. So, hold on, what does that connect up to? These connect up to clear children, so we should as well. So that's a thing that I maybe will figure out like in the next couple of weeks, and then this entire blueprint can be somewhat simplified as well. But for now, let's go back to drop tables. We were doing this one. That's where I took my XP scaling from. Yeah, so I think RuneScape's XP scaling is fairly aggressive, I would say. It really works well for an MMO, but if you're like not making an MMO, I would probably make the XP curve a little less steep, because the fact that like level 1 to 92 is the same amount of experience as 92 to 99, which is fucking insane. And for an MMO that makes sense, because you want to keep people subscribing and paying every month, but it doesn't actually make for like very good game design. Makes for a good business, but that's something else entirely. So I'm just going to keep this top one, I think, for the most part, as like, can I even, like, I should be able to, yeah, like just put this one on top. There we go. It doesn't matter, but it's just like consistently, if the top one is empty, that's, we know what we're dealing with, right? So we have this like light soul. Now this is a little fucked, isn't it? Okay, that's kind of weird. Yeah, so this is why I want this to just be baked into the actual detail view and not the way it is now. But we'll make do. And I guess since this is a healing enemy, it consistently goes back to the basic drop table whenever I click on anything. Whenever anything refreshes. Why is that? I guess because the class picker... oh yeah, that makes sense. No, it doesn't, but who cares? We need to set this a class picker thing to here as well, I think. Also just troubleshooting my little tool that I have here, I suppose. Yeah, so we were going to do like health essence. Why does it keep going back to showing me the basic drop table when this thing updates? That doesn't make sense. Am I setting class picker anywhere that's like weird? Oh, I guess I am. I'm just setting it back to the... Oh, that's kind of fucked, isn't it? Yeah. But when I create a new asset, oh, I do need to regenerate the entire list, don't I, when I create a new asset? But it shouldn't do that when I just change the detail view. When I just change the detail view, it should just... This is weird. On property change, but that's the single value, so that also makes sense. Why does it do that? Huh. There's only if class picker doesn't even have a value, actually. So yeah, this doesn't... Okay, that's weird. I did Emerald Fighter scaling to cut down to about 1/5 of what RuneScape uses. That probably seems like a smart idea. Yeah. I need to figure out the XP scaling for my game. I just kind of like made a curve that felt about right and just figured that was good enough. Let's like real quick just print the name of the thing that I'm trying to like class pick every single time. Because something tells me that that's basic drop table. Why is it basic drop table every single? Is it? Oh, when I click on something, it doesn't set the class picker. That's it. So when I click on something, I need to set the class picker to not a click button, but a clicked data assets. Do I not do that anyway? Apparently I don't. Okay. So now that should work. Okay, I don't think this needs to have a third drop down, but it does actually still show me the right breakdown now, so that's good. So yeah, here I think I want to have like weight of 4, and then a weight of, well, actually, let's make this a weight of 5. There's a weight of 10. I want these like soul drops to be like between 1 and 3% chance to drop. The idea is that you don't come across them a lot. And I think 30% for getting a health essence, which is going to be used for crafting potions, also might be quite a lot. Let's increase the chance for nothing to drop to like 20, honestly. So that's about a 20% chance that this drops now. So that's 1 in 5. So you need to kill 5 in order to get 1 health essence of this thing. But it also has the base chance to drop a health essence at about 13%. So I think, yeah, I think this should also be like 20. So about 10% chance from the base table to drop any of the essences. And then about 20% here. So that means that like you effectively have it, not quite a 30% chance, but let's just like dumb down the math a little bit. That's about a 1 in 3, maybe a 1 in 4. What do you mean by everything gets inventory? Like abilities? Did I say everything gets inventory? Did I write that as my description? Because that's not actually that wouldn't be accurate. No, everything just gets item drops. Let's give everything items now. Oh, that's what I mean. Okay, so yeah, everything is going to get item drops. So we're making drop tables. We just finished making a bunch of items for these guys to drop, and now we're trying to set up the drop tables for them. I guess we're just gonna have to like kind of figure out if I am dropping too many items. I don't want to be like overly aggressive with the no drops. This seems pretty good though, right? About a 1 in 5, and then here we get about a 1 in 10. Let's stick with that for now. I wish I could have a like folder view or something like that in there. Maybe I can, I don't know. But let's see. In my items folder, we had the item assets, new folder. No, that's not the folder that I want to use actually. I'm going to use the drop table. Copy path. Put the path back in there. Which brings us to the zombie table. So zombie drop table. Let's make that. Gonna start off with an empty one, and then we get the rotten essence, rotten soul, my bad. And then maybe this one has a small chance for a magic essence because he can do some like kind of magical stuff. He can grow and he can like dive into the ground and that kind of stuff. So let's again make this at like a value of about 20, and then maybe this at a value of about 3. 25. So effectively the same-ish ratio, right? Yeah, we're effectively at the same ratio now. I think that's pretty good. It's just like the same drop table, but with slightly different items. Yeah, let's kind of stick with that, I think. Let's use that as a base for like, I don't think these and these are going to be dropping anything other than just their soul for the time being. So let's make a demon drop table. I feel like I should just automatically make a drop table generate with 1 empty slot, to be honest with you. And that wouldn't even be that difficult to do. Yeah, let's actually do that. After we make this one, we'll do that. So this would be the demon drop table, right? So let's select the demon so that I have that in mind. Then we do the demon soul. No, it is I think it's dark soul that I called it a dark soul because I want to get sued. Now I remember. Yeah, so let's do a like 30 to 1 or something like that. Just a 1 in 31. About a 3.2% chance. That's pretty good. Okay, so that's going to be the basic idea of how we set up these drop tables. I think we've gone over a couple of them now. Let's go back into C++ and set up the code for picking a drop out of the drop table. And give the drop tables to the enemies, and then make drop tables when we instantiate them, generate with 1 empty slot to begin with, because we're always going to want to have an empty slot anyway. So in the drop table.h, well, no, not in the drop table.h. Well, we do need to make a constructor for them, I suppose. So let's make that. I also should like zoom in a little bit, I think. Drop table dot add. I have drop table data. There we go. Now it'll generate with 1 empty slot. But the thing that we actually want to do is we want to make a function on here. So that's going to be do I want to make a inventory slot, which we can just do through forward declaration, because an inventory slot will also have an item and a count. Well, I suppose an index and stuff, but that doesn't really matter. And some metadata, which also doesn't matter. Well, and an inventory component. Yeah, I don't think maybe we want that, but it might be nice to also be able to generate an amount. I don't think from my game I'm ever going to be dropping more than 1 of anything that it drops, but for like the inventory system as a whole, it might be nice to like implement that. So I guess what we'll do is we'll make it a void function, and then we will make a uItem pointer reference for the item, and then a int reference for the amount that it drops. And then I guess the inputs will be an int for minimum amount and an integer for maximum amount. Oh, that don't put a comma between those. And I guess the minimum amount will default to 1, and the maximum amount also will default to 1. So if you don't provide those in, they still do something, right? I think that's how that works in Blueprint. I guess we'll figure it out. Like, well, hold on. If we swap this around, does that work the way I think it will work? Because it might. So if we do the references first and then we do the inputs, this feels a little weird, I know. And just for symmetry's sake, let's do it on this side as well. Does that then mean that we can get drop without providing in those two other things? We can't do that in here anyway, obviously, but so we make a uItem pointer item int amount, and then we just pass in this and amount. Does it start complaining? No. So because we give them in default values in, we can just skip giving them in as parameters at all. So if we don't give in any parameters for them, it just uses 1 and 1, which is kind of nice. I didn't know if I needed to make like a specific overload for that to make it work that way, but apparently we don't, so that's good. So integer amount to, oh, that's not how that works. Amount to drop is random in range from min to max, which returns a integer. That's good. That's the easy part. Now, the item. We need to for each loop over this entire thing. So let's do float total weight equals 0 for f drop table data reference. What? I don't think there needs to be a reference. Yeah, I think that's just a normal drop table, man. It's just drop table data drop or drop table. Total weight plus equals yeah. And then we float random 0 total weight. And then I guess we have to iterate over again to see how do we do this like cleverly. I was thinking we iterate over it again and we check when we get to something that is a higher value, but that means that the last one's never going to be picked. Let's see what GitHub Copilot does. Find item to drop. What does it do? For drop table. Oh, that's actually clever. That's pretty clever. So we just minus equals the random with drop weight until we get to 0 or lower. Right, so if our drop weight is like 50 and our total is 70. Yeah, I think this works. Pretty clever. So yeah, then we just set the item to the item and the amount to the amount, and then we return all that. Okay, I think that works. Don't forget, however, that this is supposed to be a U function, because we're going to be U functioning this quite a lot probably. So that'll be blueprint callable. Category, I don't care. At least not for now. We'll go back over that at some point. And then we go into my enemies. So the base enemy class is somewhere in here, probably in the enemies folder. We're about to move the checkpoint. No, I don't want to move the checkpoint file. That's going to break everything. Please don't do that. Why does this have a drop table widget? I don't think I'm using it anymore. I think that was one of my experiments. Anyway, so U property. Edit anywhere. I'm making this edit anywhere. And also blueprint read write, just because blueprint read write. I'm making edit anywhere because I want to be able to edit the drop table settings on specific instances as well. So if I make like a mini boss or something like that, which is effectively just going to be the same type of enemy with like more health, like slightly different stats maybe. I want to be able to give those either more drop tables or like boosted drop tables, or drop tables with just generally better weapons. Well, not weapons, because weapons aren't items in my game, but better items, right? So I want to make it inside of the classes, but I also want to be able to do it per instance, I think. So let's make a T array of U drop table pointers. Drop tables, pretty good name. And then we'll make a U function as well, which will be blueprint callable void drop items. You know, I don't hate it. So let's implement that one. So for U drop table, pointer, table and drop tables, table drop items. What the fuck are you even on about? Why does it need this in? That makes no sense. Get drop. That's the one that I want. So the, let's see, we need the item and the amount. So I guess the amount is just kind of unnecessary in this context, but we still need to pass it in. So the U item, the int amount, put both of those in there. What the, add movement input? What the hell is wrong with you? And then we, if item, we create a item drop, which we'll do by, I don't think the item drop thing that I made has a C++ parent, does it? I think the item drop is just like a couple over there. World item is just a blueprint thing. Yes. Do I care about that? Should I make a C++ version of that? I don't know that I should. I don't think it's that important. Then again, it might be. Let me think that through for a moment. I think what we're going to do is we're just going to make a U property that's going to be edit default only, which will be a U class. I think it's item drop. Does it need to be a subclass of anything in particular? I guess we make it a subclass of actor just because. So the subclass of a actor. We'll call it world item actually. Yeah, that's pretty good. So if the item is valid, what we do is we How do you spawn items in C++ again? Holy hell, it's been a while. I think it is in U gameplay statics. It's probably in U gameplay statics, right? Spawn, actor. Spawns an instance of a blueprint, but not automatically run its construction scripts. Can be useful, but that's not really what I want. Is it? Oh, it's in U world. I think it's in U world, right? Get world. And there we spawn actor. Where we need the class. So that will be the world item class. So a F vector pointer, sure. Rotation pointer, sure. Spawn params I don't really care about, so I think this will just do it. Saying the address of a R value is non-standard Microsoft C++ extension. You know, I'm kind of weirded out that it takes a pointer in too, man. This just needs this. Right? Function has 0 parameters, scored with 1 argument. And what the fuck is your problem? Returns a U world that is, yeah, member is inaccessible. What the fuck are you even on about? Why would the member be inaccessible? What the fuck? Is it in a private section? Surely not. No, it's in public. What the hell are you on about? Do I not have... Surely I have U gameplay statics included in this file. I mean, I have a bunch of unnecessary includes. Well, one unnecessary and a bunch of things that probably shouldn't be necessary. Oh, I have an XP orb spawn as well in here. Oh, hold on, XP. How do I deal with it in there? Oh, you can just get worlds. You don't need to use U gameplay statics for that. Sure. There we go. Why does it use a template function below, though? Oh, because then it doesn't need to take in those as... I don't think it needs to take those in as references at all. I think that is just... Happy now, we'll make it a template function, sure. So it'll drop the items. I guess it should drop items at like slightly randomized offsets though, from the actor's position. Maybe. Yeah, let's do that. Float x random. Oh, float x random. Y random, please. Thank you very much. And then we location. There we go. Make sure that everything is saved in Unreal and we recompile. And now we should have items dropping when we kill things. Well, we first need to apply the drop tables to our actual like enemies, but after that we should have items dropping when we kill things. In theory. And I have a very tiny inventory, so that's gonna fill up super fucking quickly. So maybe we should change the inventory curve over a little bit. But we'll worry about that when we actually see things dropping. Because I think the default inventory that I give players is like 5 inventory slots. Which isn't a lot. So I probably should like make the default at least 10. And then for every level that you level up your inventory, I think you get 5 extra slots, which is pretty good. At least I think it is. I don't know. I haven't like had this tested at all. So fuck do I know. Yeah, so the way that we're gonna do this is because we have that like U property set up, we have this BP base enemy, right? So we can just not get the hiccups, please. We can just set the world item to be world item in here. And that will then propagate to everything that inherits off of this, which is literally everything. So now going into here just to check, world item is set to world item. Perfect. Now, drop tables. I want to have the basic drop table on everything, which that actually means that we should do this different. If I want to have the basic drop table on everything, we should set that up in the parent class. So that's basic drop table, and then, yeah. Then in the daemon, we should have the daemon drop table. And let's just test it out with the daemon first before we do anything else. So we're just going to select these three little dudes and start active. And let's test this out. I thought I was going to crash immediately there. That would have been really funny. For some reason, it doesn't like focusing on them. Oh, that's okay. Something weird is happening with their animations. Something weird is happening with the targeting system. It's targeting things that should not be targeted. Can I walk through those invisible enemies? With a self-collision, they still have collision as well, seemingly. Okay. That means that there's going to need to be some changes to the enemy class as well. Thought I had that all set up properly. If, yeah, not start active set had set tick enabled. I guess we set actor collision enabled to false. And then after we activate set enemy active, I think. Yeah, activate enemy. We just set that to true. With it having no collision, it should also... I feel good enough just live coding that in. With it having no collision, I think it also should not pick it up with the... with the enemy targeting system. So it should be good to go now. Let's see. Yeah, so now it only... Actually, I'm going to mute that. So let's see if it actually murders. Well, it does murder them, but if it actually like drops stuff as well. Because hopefully it will... That's experience. That's not exactly what I was looking for, but it only has a small chance to drop items. So, if anything, that's good, because it clearly just generated something. Ooh, that looks weird. It clearly just generated something to drop nothing on both drop tables. Or the drop tables just did not work. Actually, yeah, the drop tables did not work. What the fuck am I talking about? I never included that in the enemy death. But that's the thing that I need to do in Blueprint anyway, so that's fine. Because we have this damage interface, right? In which we check if we are dead, I believe, maybe? Hold on. Yeah, so we then like destroy enemy, which is on the enemy stats component, so that's kind of weird. But we can drop items. We should clean up everything to do with the enemy stats component as well, because that is fucking ancient. That dates back to a time from before I used gameplay ability. Which is a while. I don't know why the defense bar seems to be slightly bugging out, but It's kind of fine, I guess. Okay, let's keep these things dying. Maybe I should just like use some magic for that. Maybe I should pick up one of those magic spells over there. And yeah, the defense bar is also being a little buggy, which is not good news because I thought that would just work. But clearly it does not. Fuck. Well, none of them dropped items, so I guess we just go again. What is the chance that anything like drops an item at all? Because I think that should be relatively... I think it's like a 20% chance for both. So that means that after a few kills, I should at least have gotten some item. I think. Because it's supposed to run on every drop table. Which does mean that it is technically possible now to get more than one drop from one enemy, which is why it's being offset randomly by about 50 units in each direction. Okay, it dropped an item. That is fantastic. The items don't have gravity, I just remembered. But it dropped an item, and it kind of works. But not really. Oh, no, fuck. I wanted to check if I could pick it up. Oh, well. Well, maybe I should just play in selected viewports. Yeah, so I think like one of these spells, like do we have, I don't think we have anything in there, right? Like I didn't put anything in there. No, I didn't. But we do have some spells and I can put some stuff away in there, which I definitely need to do anyway. Then we can use these spells real quick. Which, do I have mappings for those still? I need to hook up my controller to do that. Hold on, I'm gonna do that real quick, because playing this with a controller is just a lot smoother. So let me really quickly do that. DS for Windows. And then hook up my USB-C cable, which I have just hanging out on my desk because there's so many things that hook up with USB-C. It's kind of insane. And that should now have picked that up, I think. Maybe I need to restart Unreal for it to pick it up. I think I need to restart Unreal for it to pick it up. No, there we go. Except that it doesn't pick up my like left trigger and bumper. So I don't know what's... Maybe I just need to... What's up with that? That's kind of weird. Oh, is it overriding? No, surely it's not. Maybe it is. I'm just going to restart Unreal real quick just to be sure that there's nothing weird going on. Which is good because we needed to like actually properly recompile anyway after that change. It's also kind of weird that my DualSense isn't... Hold on. It's not showing the color of like the backlight that DS4 Windows says that it should be. So I feel like... Oh, now, there we go. Now it's purple. I have it set up to be purple so that I know when it's being picked up by DS4 Windows and when it is just kind of being a PS5 controller. I also, maybe, I don't know if it makes any difference, but I also probably should set this to live chat just in case anything else is being followed out weirdly. Okay, does this... Huh. It doesn't do. What doesn't it do? Okay, hold on. We've got another thing to troubleshoot. We'll get back to the items in a moment. But this is kind of weird. Because I don't think I changed anything that should be preventing this from working. Right. It's straight up... Oh no, it is triggering. Why don't I have a HUD now? Now I have a HUD again. But it... So that surely is to do with it, how it's setting this to default every tick. Yeah, okay, so that is an issue. But that's not a unsolvable issue because we have the update previews function, right? Yeah, so if we just run that instead, that should solve it. Update previews. So we just pull those over into there. Then again, I guess we don't even need to like update the default previews if we just do the bool checks on the thing, but this will work as well, I think. Yeah, so go over here. There we go. Okay. Look, man, I love your plugin, but you do kind of screw me up sometimes with with the button mappings. Yeah, okay. So let's put this over here, and then this one. Oh, the navigation doesn't. Okay, well, we'll just put that on the bottom. That's fine. Let's just kill some things. You see how much faster they die when I do that? And it dropped an item. So let's see. You know, I kind of forgot one fairly important thing. And that is that the world item that is getting spawned in doesn't have an item reference in it. So it does need to be a C++ thing, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah, it does. So... because we need to spawn it in and then set the... make that a actor. Yeah, it's all good. Okay. World item H and CPP. Let's open up the world item actor in Blueprint just to make sure that we don't skip out on anything. It has a static mesh and a sphere overlap. And then it just does on overlap, it just checks if items can fit in the inventory. If so, it adds the item. Honestly, I think I'm just going to keep all this and just reparent it and just make an actor that has these variables because I don't want to like set all that up in C++, to be fair with you. So we'll just set the item asset and the amount to add, which we need to do anyway. Now that I think about it. So yeah, let's do that. So u item pointer item int amount. You probably need a for declaration. I would imagine. There we go. And that's kind of everything there is to it. We need to mark them as U properties, obviously. Add it anywhere, and then blueprints. We even read-write it. Oh, no, just copy this over. And I think we're going to spawn it deferred. So we're going to start spawning it, populate these values, and then finish spawning it so that the construction script can pick up the rest and have those values already be populated. I think that'll work. So going back into the enemy CPP. World item doesn't matter anymore because this now becomes a world item. World item Well, no, actually it does need to be the blueprint version. So we still need that variable that I threw away. Let's go find of course we U property added default. No, added defaults only. T subclass of a world item for declared app. And then world item. And now we can put world item back in here. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. World item. Stream keeps being a bitch about freezing, but I'm going to lose my mind sooner or later on this, but hey, nothing we can do about it. Okay, so this will be our spawning, but we actually want to spawn a deferred, so I think that is a separate function. So spawn actor deferred, and I think, I don't remember what all that takes in, but I think it's effectively just the same thing, right? So world item equals all that. And I think then, let's see, what does it take in? It takes in a class, oh, this takes in a full transform. A owner, don't really care about that. An instigator, collision handling, which is, okay, so effectively the only thing we need to put in is a class and a transform. The class we already have, so that's good. And the transform we also got working. Our world item. Oh, hold on. We need to. There was a conflicting name there. Then we set the world item deferred to item, amount to amount, and then we finish spawning. It's kind of weird that we need to give in a transform on deferred spawning, and then when we finish spawning, we need to give it in again. I guess you technically could do some stuff in between that takes in the transform, and then you actually spawn at a different transform, maybe. Also, hello, waving back to the chat. So I guess that's the thing that you could do. So it's nice that it's a possibility, but it's still kind of weird. Let's recompile real quick. So now that should be a lot better, because now it'll actually spawn in and set the amount and the value for the item. And then we just fill out a bunch of data tables once this works. Isn't that just fantastic? Or not data tables, drop tables. Which are effectively just my own data tables, really. They just don't show up as data tables. Maybe I could actually show them in the data table interface. That would be kind of fun. Maybe we'll think about that. Where do we need to go? We need to go into the enemy base class. That's where we were going. Yeah. But it's not opened. Of course not. Enemy base. Any particular reason you're doing a data table plus structs? Well, I'm not doing data tables. That's the thing. Like my entire inventory system is object based. So, and the reason I'm doing it in C++ is because it's a fucking pain in the ass to write like full stuff, full systems in Blueprint. I much prefer working with data assets over making a data table with a bunch of like just struct rows. It gives much more flexibility in so many ways. I use structs like all the time. Like my inventory slots themselves are structs. Like for just holding a set of data together is what a struct is really good for. But I don't think defining your items as structs. I know a lot of people do it. I don't personally love it. I much prefer doing that in an object-based way so that I can take advantage of like inheritance and that kind of stuff. It does mean that you do need to like make some kind of like editor tool to conveniently edit your different like item assets. Like I have, it's not open anymore, but like I have had this entire stream so far up until now, anyway. Because otherwise you're going to have a bunch of separate assets open, which obviously isn't a good time. But like you do need to have something like this to actually like edit those assets conveniently. Otherwise, you're going to lose your mind. That's the major downside. But like once you've made something like this, and this is now reusable because this can see and edit any data asset. JSON custom data is also a nice way to handle things. I mean, that's just a struct with extra steps, isn't it? Right? I guess it's a little bit more flexible. Well, it's a fair bit more flexible. I'll be honest, but still. Like a major downside of doing it as object-based is that saving things can be a little bit annoying because you need to like serialize things in a savable format because you're working, like your entire system works entirely based on memory addresses if you do something object-based. So everything needs to also like have an ID so that you can save it out. But luckily, assets in Unreal also already have a name. So you can just use the name as the asset ID for saving and loading. So that's like not actually a problem. By the way, just run my DM too lazy to test out. Would it be possible to use a string text to for your drop table? Item drop tables can be simple actors with tags. If you need to spawn something, use text string to convert the reference into some way to spawn reference asset actors. I mean, you could because you can parse things out of strings. You can check if a string contains a certain substring, and like find that. But that would be like your CPU would not like that. Like, don't do that. That's not like I don't think you gain anything from a design perspective, like making your game doing that, because it's also probably going to be fairly messy. Because you now have to deal with potential like typos. You have to like type out the names of your items, that kind of stuff, and it's also going to be fairly horrible for performance because you're constantly checking strings or string tables and that kind of stuff, and you want to avoid doing that if you can, because comparing strings is a fairly expensive operation. So yeah, probably something to avoid doing. Yeah, we're doing world item, that's it. So world item still is my world item. That makes sense. Let's see if this works now, because I think that should be all we need to do. Just to make this a little bit easier to test out, actually, because this is a bit annoying to test out. Let's set up our basic drop table to like be much more likely to drop like anything at all. I have a controller. Why am I using my mouse? I don't know. I also had those magic spells, didn't I? Did I really hit the fucking 12% chance of not dropping anything there? Really? Maybe I should just get rid of the no drop for testing purposes for now. But it's also kind of like fun to test out the... Like, we're also testing out the drop mechanics in general. So if something is broken, causing no drops, don't die. Well, you should die. You should just not die off the edge. Fuck. I should build a wall around this place and make the demons pay for it. Yeah, there's definitely something wrong with the drop tables. Because that should have dropped something by now, I think. Did it not save my drop tables? It has the basic drop table. And then the demon should have the basic plus the demon drop table. Would it not save memory since drops would not have any hard references? No, not really. Like ideally, you make your... Well, no. Because if you're working with... the drop tables themselves probably should be built up of soft references. Like, you have a good point there. Because you don't want to load every item in the game constantly. But then again, you're only loading the items that are potentially going to drop from enemies that are walking around at that time. Because what you have is you have the enemy that has a handful of drop tables in this case, and those drop tables have references to a handful of items. So only the items that get referenced like this are going to be loaded in memory. And all the other items aren't. And these are items that you're potentially going to be using in a moment anyway. So you want those in memory. You could potentially make these soft references, right? The drop tables themselves probably don't make those soft references, but like the item references inside of those, probably you could make soft references and only load in once you then actually drop the item itself. That would save the memory of loading in all the potential items to drop. But I don't think it's actually a problem to have all of these loaded in memory at the same time. And the downside to making them a soft reference and only loading them in once you actually use them is it'll, number one, complicate your code quite a bit, because you're going to then be either loading them blocking, which is going to, every time an item drops, give you a little lag spike, which you don't want. So you're going to be loading them asynchronously, which complicates your code a little bit, which is annoying to deal with. And then they're not going to be loaded anyway, right? Because in Blueprint, I don't think there's a way to unload something once it's loaded, unless the reference altogether dies anyway. And in C++, I think there is a way, but they don't really expect you to use it. Unreal really expects you to, as long as a soft reference is around after it's loaded, it's going to stay loaded anyway. So you could save a little bit of memory using soft refs here instead of hard refs. But I don't think it's worth all the hassle. Unless you are going to actively make levels that have 20 different enemy types, which all have a bunch of different drop tables, which all have a bunch of different items in them. That adds up real quick, of course. But these items are fairly lightweight as is. So, I don't know. Let's just check one of these items. The heaviest thing in the item is the texture. And if anything, what I would probably do is I would make the texture inside of the item a soft reference, so that only when that's actually used in the UI does it get loaded in. That is probably something that like memory usage could benefit from. But if I just go into, I think I have the like some items, yeah, right over here. Like item assets. If I just like open up a like random one here, and I go into the size map, like we're talking about like disk size. Let's go to memory size. We're talking about a 100 and like 200 not even kilobytes. I think this is like kibibytes or something, right? The it's a weird measurement. But this is like negligible. And the largest part of this is the texture. Like you can see how far I need to increase this thing before other things start to show up. This is the texture. So if I get rid of that texture, it's like essentially nothing. So optimizing for this texture is probably a good idea. Optimizing for the items as a whole, probably over designed at that point. If you have 5 types of enemies that each have 5 possible drops, that will be 25 references. If you replace it with string text, that can be stored some other way in inventory, later spawn. Using the reference converted from string to text. Yeah, but that's the thing, right? Even if you have 25 references, that is, even if this was kilobytes, that would be like 5, like, let's calculate this, right? Let's say that it's 200 kilobytes. It's not, because this is like the other, I don't know what, like kibibytes or whatever, which is a different measurement. I don't quite know what it is. But let's say it is 200 kilobytes per item that is in memory. And let's say you have 100 items loaded in. That is 20,000 kilobytes, which sounds like a lot, until you understand that a kilobyte divides by 1,000 for megabytes. So if you have 100 items actively loaded into memory, which is quite a lot for effectively any game, you're using 20 megabytes of memory. And you're not going to be using 4K or 8K textures for inventory icons. Like those are going to be fairly small. So even if this was larger, I think I'm using 512 by 512 textures. Like even if you were using 1K textures, which like at that point, like optimize for that. But I don't think you need to like throw a wrench into the entire inventory system here to just optimize for the textures. Like if you're going to be optimizing for the textures, that's probably a good thing. But doing some like weird string storage serialization like on runtime is like it'll save you memory at the cost of an insane amount of like CPU cost, which is like at that point you're probably like actually performing worse. Because you need thousands of items before you actually start like registering it at this size. Unlike your memory, because again, 100 items was about 20 megabytes. So at that point, to like even get to like a gigabyte worth of items, and a gigabyte of memory these days isn't that much. That means that you need like 5,000 would be 100. So you would need 50,000 items loaded at the same time to get to a gigabyte, which you're not going to get to. So it's fine. In my head, loading struct sounds more heavy than checking a string from a JSON. But maybe the JSON conversion is heavy. I don't know. I don't know how heavy the JSON thing is. I'm assuming it's quite slow, because I'm assuming you're reading that off disk, right? You might have that in memory. You probably do. I don't really work with JSONs too much. What about using just an ID instead of a string text? But that still has the same issue, because like either way what you're doing is you still need to then like store some kind of table of what ID or what string or text corresponds to what item. Meaning that you're just moving your hard reference to like a data table. An issue with data tables is that they do load into memory in its entirety. So you then need to still make it a soft reference, but you're just doing it in a data table. You're just moving the problem to another asset. Like, unless I am mistaken about data tables. I looked this up a while ago, so don't quote me on the data table being loaded in the memory in its entirety, but I'm pretty sure it is. Like 62% at the very least. Sure that it gets loaded in its entirety into memory when you access a data table. Because in the end, we are using these assets, we're using these objects, and those objects need to be like referenced at some point somewhere. So like putting in some kind of other like live serialization just like moves the problem upstream a little bit. Like the idea that you have for like using strings or IDs is exactly how like I save like to a save file my inventory, because you can't save pointers. Well, you can, but it doesn't work because they refer to places in memory. And if you save a place in memory and you re-access that at a later date, it's not going to be like the same object. Like it's going to be corrupt. It's just going to return something invalid. So like for my saving system, that's exactly what I do. I just use the data assets like display name to save that to a object, and I use Unreal's Asset Manager to reverse engineer that when I load it. UI starting to look good. I sure as fuck hope that you're not referring to this abomination down here, because this looks good until you realize that the circle here in the background is my mana and my HP bar, which is getting obfuscated by the UI. So it looks like it's real bad. I was just playing around with it before stream. So yeah, I don't think the data drop tables are like literally doing anything. Which is weird. Let's just to be 100% sure set this. I guess we can just do that, right? Like if we just set that to 0, we don't have to delete it. Good for mobile. I mean, the fact that my HP bar is being obfuscated still is a massive issue. But it's all temporary anyway. I think I'm going to get rid of the circular HP bar. It's been fun. It's kind of like doing the Kingdom Hearts, but I just think it takes up comparatively a lot of screen space for me at the moment. And I'm not sure I'm in love with that. So, yeah, that should be dropping an item, man. I don't think it's instantiating the items. I don't know why. Or is it just like instantiating them at 000 for some fucking reason? Let's just kill all these demons and then look through the outliner to see if there's any objects anywhere for the like world spawn. Or they might be... Oh no, I'm an idiot. I am an idiot. They are probably spawning in, but the thing that I'm not doing is world item is still a child of actor. There should be a child of world item, which is really weird. So let's open this up and change this to blueprint world item. And then in the enemy base, the world item class should be the BP world item, because obviously the C++ class that we made didn't have any stuff, any visuals. Yeah, I mean, I like the visual feel of having like that circle in the bottom right with all the like button prompts for like the actions that we can do. I'm gonna keep that because it like encloses it and makes it like one coherent like widget. So I'm just going to put in a circle behind that as just a normal circle. And then I'm kind of trying to figure where I'm going to put the HP bars, if I'm going to just make them... oh, wow, those are huge and still don't quite work. Why are they so big? Well, who cares? Let's see. We need to... I need to find it. Oh, there we go. Okay, so item asset is... Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. Let's go back into world item. We need to remove these variables. Get item asset, or just get item, I think. It's just called item, right? Yes, get amount. There was a widget UI material dev talk video where they were explaining how using materials for widgets is pretty much twice more optimized of using textures. Might be worth checking out. I mean, that is worth checking out if that's true. I feel like there might be a bit more nuance to it than that. Because I cannot, like, I cannot imagine that it's just that straightforward. Because if I make a shader that just displays an image, that surely isn't more optimized than just only having an image, right? Add item to list. I don't even know what the fuck. Oh yeah, no, that makes sense. So we almost are there. But I'm gonna look that up because that does sound interesting. The fuck are you talking about? BP item object. Oh, probably should just get rid of the BP item in this whole hierarchy. Just add in that color into the base item. But maybe not. Okay, so now everything spawns in. I think it depends on how animated your widgets are, but I did see the same dev talk. The video is called Using Simple Generic Materials to Improve UI Performance on Unreal Fest 2024. I'm going to check that out. Because that sounds like a good thing to know. But like just seeing like these things over here, like these static images, there's no way in hell that making a shader to display these static images is more performant. Like that would be really weird if that's the case. Like, if it's the case, I'll do it, but I can't imagine that is the case. Because a shader will like constantly update, and when something is just an image, that's not getting changed. Okay, the item drops work. When something is just a image that doesn't get like changed, I don't know if well, probably the like UI might technically might technically redraw the same image over and over and over again. So that may, like when it's in a canvas, I think the canvas on draw or whatever method is called every frame anyway. For some reason, my damage is going from minus 100 to HP, 100 HP, minus 100. That's weird. No idea what could be happening there. In all honesty, my description of what they do in the video may be garbage. I mean, it's still going to be a good thing to check out because I've been working quite a bit on UI. So, yeah, I'm going to be adding some guardrails now because I'm throwing these guys over the edge way too much. Circular shader having the masks probably better than circular border or image in a widget. My current HP, fuck, maybe this is a bit much. Yeah, that's maybe a bit much. Currently, like my HP bars and stuff, like those are shaders. Those aren't just images getting cropped. That is like fully a shader. But when I change this to just being for like aesthetics, right, a little circle, I just cannot believe that a PNG would be more expensive than a shader that is live calculating like these circles being subtracted from each other and all that kind of stuff. Like there's no way that just loading in a PNG is more expensive. Now, if you need to start like cropping that PNG and whatever in like a circular way, I'm sure that does make the difference. We have like blockout tools. There we go. So I'll go check that out. The buttons as images, I guess. Halving. Half radius. Yeah, the buttons here are just like the things. The white circles are just images which are set to render as a rounded box with the rounding set to super fucking high. So that they're effectively just circles. And then they have just a PNG inside of them. So that's what's going on there. There we go. We have a wall on this side. And while we're at it as well, might as well like add in more walls. Oh, need to copy it over first. Sure. And now I just hope that these walls are high enough. But I'm sure that they are. And otherwise I can just increase the height a little bit for all of them. Good. Yeah, so now we go back here and we set this back to like 25. Not 225, that would be insane. So we have this drop table, that drop table, that drop table, that's all good. And let's try again to see if it still properly drops everything the way that I would like it to. Okay, so that didn't drop anything, which is according to plan. Oh yeah, so if the material saves you from having to render multiple like different widgets on top of each other, I can definitely see that being a more optimized way. Because that's then all getting deferred to the GPU, right? And the widgets themselves probably are mostly dealt with the CPU side. Maybe. Which that by itself makes a gigantic difference. Then again, now, yeah, the widget definitely... Like, a lot of widgets probably are dealt with CPU side because they can interact with your mouse. And your mouse probably... Like, your GPU probably doesn't have any idea where your mouse is, right? So they would have to necessarily be at least partly dealt with on the CPU. So I guess that might be the big difference, is the fact that it's actually like using the GPU to render them, which that's what GPUs are good at. At that point, it might actually be more performant to just like render a single image, because if it's doing it on a CPU instead of the GPU through the normal widget system, That might actually like, make enough difference as well. But then it's loading those images into VRAM, which I don't know if that's necessarily what you want to have happen as well. Because like your video memory is a limited resource as well. Much more limited than your system memory. Hey, can any of you motherfuckers please just like drop an item so that I know that it works? Drop rates are definitely too low with Dexter. And I got a potion! Holy hell! I got lucky in my own game! I got a potion. Neat. So everything works. I think it might be a little too much to make this 25. So let's make this like 15. That definitely does. For instance, my health bar, instead of having 2 progress bar and a border, there's a single image that achieves the same result. Yeah, so if that single image then, because it's a shader, it gets rendered on the GPU, you're saving on like 2 or 3 layers in your widget itself. You're probably gaining performance out of that. That makes sense. Yeah, so then again, we're gonna like murder a lot of enemies, so let's keep it at about 20. And then like all of these. Yeah, I think that's pretty much good to go. So now that we have all that, I guess we keep making more drop tables, because that was the thing that we were actually doing before we got like majorly sidetracked about a bunch of different stuff. So let's copy the path. And what the fuck? I said, let's copy this path and keep going where we left off. So this will be the ghost drop table. We make that as a new asset. And it starts out with an empty slot. That's another thing that I already forgot that we coded, but it does do that now. With a weight of 1 and all that kind of good stuff. So the ghosts. What should the ghost be able to drop? Should the ghost be able to drop anything beyond just a normal? Well, it should be able to drop the what they would call it, like the ghost. No, the dark. No, Dark Soul was the last one. What did we call it? Hold on. Item assets. I think it was Corrupted Soul that we made for that. I'm gonna need so many images for all this. It's kind of insane. And does it need to drop anything aside from just the soul item for it? I'm thinking maybe not. Ghosts probably drop more souls. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Is maybe like these basic ghosts just have a slightly higher chance to drop their soul, so that they are likely to be a summon that everybody unlocks throughout the game, and might also be like likely to be the first one that you unlock, so that you can get those as like a bit of practice. And if you like those, you can like go out and hunt for the other ones, the other ones a little bit more. So like let's set this to like 15 to 1, so it's about a 6% chance of it dropping. Meaning that 1 will drop after about, what would that be, after about 20 kills? About 17-ish, 18. So maybe we even like make it go down to like, yeah, after about 10 kills. That seems about good. Do we create a data table for the content browser also, or drop table? I don't know. I mean, I probably could have made the drop tables data tables. I mean, probably, yeah. But the thing that I wanted which is why I started doing this with the data asset, is like this visual drop down. That's not the thing that I want to do. Like this visual drop down, breakdown, not drop down. My brain is I have no caffeine in my blood today, so that's why I'm a little all over the place. Entirely forgot to get like any energy drinks before streaming, which I usually do, to like stay a little high in energy. But yeah, this like visual breakdown with like the percentages and like the different colors is something that I really wanted for my drop tables. And initially I wanted to add that to just like the detail view. And then I figured, hey, that's actually complicated. So I just made a widget that shows you the detail view with that on top. I'm going to go back to implementing it in the detail view at some point. But that's the reason that I'm using this with data assets, frankly, just because that's the easiest way to get this breakdown widget to work with it. And add it into the detail view. Because if I'm doing this in a like data table, it will be hard to like implement that in there as well. And with data tables, you still have the same issue where if you like open it up, you're going to have like 20 different tabs with different data tables that you're editing. So like a solution like this widget still, in my opinion, would be preferable. Which logically wouldn't make any sense because ghosts are souls already. Yeah, but that's what, when you kill them, they drop everything that they are still left, which is just a soul. So, I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? Hopefully. He's just going to chill out of your pocket. That's all right. The data asset editor is your C++ code. So this data asset editor is just a editor utility widget that I made. So I have like this thing, which is a bit of a mess. There's just an editor utility widget that like shows some stuff. So like this entire thing can be replicated easily in Blueprint. It's just I want this bar to eventually be incorporated into the data assets editor itself, to its detail view, which is a C++ thing, but that actually turns out to be a little bit bothersome to get right. That said, though, the ghost data table, yeah, that seems about right. So let's go on and make the Reaper data drop table. I keep calling them data tables because I'm getting all confused. And it's also nice that I can just like make new assets with this thing and as it is. So this will have the Reaper soul. And the thing is, we're going to need to introduce some other types of items as well to craft the other spells, which we can then start adding in. But let's populate everything first, and then we will circle back around. So yeah, for now, let's just do like the base setup for everything, and then we'll go over all of them again, because I want to just have all the drop tables in place. So we make new asset, shaman drop table, which will drop the shaman soul. So that's about 20. Other achievement I need to talk to people, but I'm already 1000% in. Have an X cap on the amount of souls that the player can carry, and add an achievement for X plus 1 souls held. That's funny. I like the idea of doing it based on the items. I don't want to like make half the achievement list unobtainable. I like the idea of doing an achievement like build up. So like we give you an achievement for unlocking 10 of the spells in the game. And then we'll give you an achievement for unlocking 20 of the spells in the game. And then we'll give you an achievement for unlocking 50 of the spells in the game. And then we'll give you an achievement for unlocking all of the spells in the game. And then you see there's one more achievement in the Steam list that has to do with spells. I kind of like this build-up. Anyway, we have the shaman. Next up, we do the spider. Did I just hold on? I think I just fucked something up here. Yeah, shaman summon spell. We want the what do we call it? Magic soul or something like that. I think it's the magic soul. This is just a spider soul. Yeah, that should be 20, 20. Yeah, there we go. And then we do the flying golem drop table. That's the last one we need to make for now. And this will be, I think we called it the sentry soul. There we go. So for now, these are all the drop tables that we will make. Now we just need to go back over and make items to actually populate those aside from just the souls. Also, as a game mechanic, you can limit the amount of souls a player can carry and have a way to upgrade their max capacity. I don't know, I already have that with the inventory itself. It might be a little tedious to do that with the souls. And like the souls are just going to be like the Dark Souls type mechanic, right? So when you die, you drop your souls and you need to make it back to pick them up before you die again. So artificially limiting the amount of souls that people can have with them then also limits the amount of risk that they're taking by not spending them. So I think it is better to have people incentivized to actually build up the amount of souls that they have. Maybe I'll do something like it's a fairly cheap trick, but maybe I'll do something where if you level up 5 levels at a time, or like 10 levels at a time, you actually can get it for cheaper. So you're incentivized to, if you feel like you don't really need the boost right now, to keep it stacked up. So you have more risk of losing those souls when you do die. Like, I actively don't think I should be incentivizing people to spend souls. Well, partly, but for the most part, I want to incentivize them to hoard souls as much as possible. So I don't think I'm going to do that. Yeah, let's see if we have like the for the ability spells, right? Or for the ability items, we have like a I guess we should also make an item for like life essence. Maybe. I mean, we already have magic essence. Isn't that kind of the same, like effectively the same thing? Oh, speaking about magic essence, definitely the shaman who is actively doing magic spells needs to drop magic essence as well at a higher rate. Like shaman, there we go. Immediately, this fucker should be dropping magic essence at like a decent rate. Like 1 and 5, that's pretty good, I think. Yeah. Okay. Going back to ability items. So we have a handful of spells already that we need to think about. Okay, we should probably be making maybe it's easier to do that in here. Let's organize this folder a little bit. Base items. That's all this shit. That's not that one. Yeah, so all these are base items. And then we have spells, which is effectively everything aside from the potion, I believe. And then consumables. Yeah. Okay. That makes things a little bit easier to see. So we can just go into the spells and see, okay, we have a fireball spell, we have a magnet spell, we have a mind spell, we have an ice spell, we have a thunder spell, and we've got a wind spell. All of those are going to need to have items that kind of correspond with them. So definitely we want to have like a fire essence item as well, right? So if we go back into BP, no, usable item, just BP item. And we take our base items path real quick. We make this flame essence. It's good enough for now. Max stack size was set to 99, whatever. And then we'll also just make some other elemental essences, I think. So we want to make... I mean, a mind spell probably will use a flame essence as well. The magnet spell... I don't know, maybe we'll just also use wind. Kind of makes sense. But ice and lightning essence probably makes sense to make as well. So like make an ice essence. Do we have any like snowflakes or whatever as an icon? Snowflake. There we go. I don't know why I made that, but sure. And then lightning essence, which we actually can use that thing for now, at least temporarily. So now we have those essences as well, which makes a certain level of sense, hopefully. While we're at it, I think I also want to make another consumable item. So let's quickly copy this path. I think I want to make... I'm just going to call him Atho. I don't know if that's like a copyrighted name by Square. But a mana restoring item, effectively, right? Can you make a tutorial on how the player can check the weather and add 3D objects to the project? Not sure what you mean by that, to be honest. So that's going to be a little tricky, I think. Like all in game, because that would require like that would require a pretty like in-depth, pretty specific tutorial. Because that would require you to have like some kind of weather system that you can query. Or do you mean like sampling the real world weather? Because that's going to be even more complicated. I don't even know what particle system I should make a new one. So just do this one temporarily. Is it ugly? I hope it's ugly. At least it runs on the GPU. That's nice. Wait. How the fuck do the leaders... How does that work? Hold on. Where did it... How did these get initialized at the position? How did... What? Oh, sample particles from other emitter. That's a thing. Oh, I didn't even know that was a thing. Oh, that makes things so much easier. Yeah, okay, no, that is much easier than doing it with a location event and being CPU bound. Okay, nice. Um, yeah, so I'm kind of thinking that maybe like these things, right? They're death. They're like Grim Reapers, so they're cold. So they should be dropping Ice Essence. And I feel like this guy should just drop all of the elemental essences as well. Which is maybe a little OP. Maybe. But he's only going to drop one at a time. So he just will be very likely to drop something. I mean, if there is a panel in the game, like I said, of course, that a player will be able to control the weather and also add the objects they created in the game. Yeah, I think that's a little over the scope of like a tutorial. It might be something to look into for like a long time series tutorial for like a weather system. But these are also two different questions. You're questioning like for a weather system, which again is a like entire series in and of itself, which is actually interesting as an idea. And then you're talking about a like effectively a level editor, right? That allows you to maybe also even import like your own assets into it, which should be possible. But that also is like a quite deep topic in and of itself. Like both of which are maybe worth covering in the future. Like I am actively looking for what I'm going to do after the quest series is finished. So those could be potential ideas for that. Like I actually like don't hate that. Anyway, I just fucked up because this is still the potion. I still need to make the ether. There we go. Call that potion for now and we'll do something with it at some point. What we're going to do, however, is before we do any of that, is I'm going to go back into the drop tables, go into the shaman drop table. We're going to add a bunch more items to this. So we want to add the flame essence. My water bottle is in front of my screen, so that's not that fun. The ice essence. And oh, the detail view. The detail view is not within a scroll box, so I can't scroll down it. Hold on. That's kind of funny. Details view. Yeah, let's wrap that in a scroll box, pretty please. Add it to utility scroll box. There we go. That's kind of funny. Ultra Dynamic Sky have an option to let player do weather interactions. I've never actually heard of that. But that might be worth looking into. Because I'm not going to get to it like very soon. So oh, this is a bit of an issue. That is oh, hold on, no, that's not that makes sense because I need to not just compile but also rerun it, I think. Maybe. I can just close some things down, but I would very much prefer if this thing had a scroll bar. No, but scroll bar visibility, visible. Do scroll bars not work on detail views? Oh, that is an issue, potentially. That's worth doing a quick Google on. Unreal Engine, widget details view, scroll box. Okay, nobody seems to be running into that yet. So I might have to make this less generalized and just make this myself. I don't love that. Detailed view. Okay, hold on. Unreal editor utility widget details view scrolling. It's kind of dumb that that doesn't work. Yeah, for other people it seems to just show the entire detail view. What if I make this a separate thing and I just drop tables? Yeah, it doesn't do the scrolling. Huh. Did I wrap the right thing? Do I have more than one detail view for some unknown, unknowable reason? I might. Now I only have the single property view up here. Now we have, yeah, this is the detail view. So even if I like, yeah, that's not quite how that works, is it? Nobody else seems to be having this issue. What? ChatGPT. In Unreal, I am making a editor utility. That's horribly misspelled. Utility widgets with a details view in it, but when there are too many details on screen, I can't seem to scroll down, even if the details view is inside a editor utility scroll box. Detail view sizing. So detail view is set to auto size. It is. So go fuck yourself. Go to the size settings or set to fill if possible. Let's try that. Yeah, no, that's it's not doing it either, man. Hold on, this editor utility widget it is inside of a vertical box. So maybe what we do instead is hold on, replace this with child and wrap this vertical box in a scroll box. It's not ideal, maybe. But this might work better. What the hell am I doing? No, wrong button. That's the button I wanted. Thank you. Yeah, okay, so that does work. So I guess the details view, it's a little annoying that I don't get this up there anymore. So let's actually try one more other thing. Like if I wrap this detail view in a vertical box, does it then suddenly work? Like, did it not work because it wasn't in a box? Or did it not work because it was in a box? Which is a really weird question to ask. Yeah, so it didn't work because it was a child of the vertical box, seemingly. So we replace with child, and then this one we replace with child. I guess that just means that this thing itself, as the box as a whole, just needs to be wrapped with a scroll box, which is not great, but we can probably deal with it. Is there any convenient way to get rid of that? Well, maybe there is, because it's all part of a stack box anyway, right? So what if we made this detail view, which is not part of this vertical box? I just really would love... Oh, because it's stacking horizontally. Okay, yeah, no, that's not going to do it. Well, then I guess this entire thing is getting wrapped in a scroll box, because that's the only way that this is going to work. And it's not that big a deal, so let's do that. And then we can dock this back in here. And we can pick up where we left off, which is with the drop table for the shaman. So we have the ice essence, and then we needed to add in the lightning essence as well. So I guess we just weigh those all equally to the magic essence that you can drop, which means that it's about a 12% chance for any of the essences to drop, which is about a 1 in 8. And we have about a 50% chance that it doesn't drop anything, and then about a 2.4% chance that it drops the magic soul. That seems reasonable enough to me, I think. Yeah, that's that though. That for testing purposes, go into this guy's inventory slots and set its inventory space to like 50 instead of 5. So it can actually like things, drop tables, and then this is going to be a work in progress. This is going to be a thing that we keep tweaking throughout the entire development, most likely. I guess this thing doesn't inherit from the blueprint enemy base, so let's change that. I don't know what good information might have been in that other class, but I'm sure that we can just put it in here. Healing lantern table. We have the ghost, which gets the ghost drop table. I think it would be kind of funny to make like one super like super buff mini boss that just has to drop tables for like every enemy in the game. So when you kill it, it's likely to drop like at least like 10 items. But it is a bitch to kill. I think that would be fun. Or maybe it overrides the drop item function, and instead of, well, that might be annoying. So I'm saying instead of just doing it all the drop tables that it has, it picks one drop table at random and just keeps re-rolling until it hits like a drop. But that could potentially, it's probably fine, But it could potentially result in something where it has to try like 100 times before it gets a drop on a specific drop table, which is going to cause like a little bit of a spike in like FPS drop. So maybe that's not a great idea. Then again, you're likely to only have to do that 2 or 3 times, which is very fast. So it's probably fine. What fucking class are we even on? The basic Reaper. Okay. Then we go to the Shaman. No, we need to set your drop table to Shaman. We don't need to set your Shaman to drop table. That would be weird. Drop tables. Spider. And then finally the drop table for the Flying Golem. Okay, everything's been assigned as drop table. Bosses don't have drop tables because I don't want any RNG to like influence that, I guess. They just reward you with straight up giving you a spell and straight up giving you a weapon. But that is all that now working. So let's just re-enable the oh, that's not what I wanted to select. The start active for these guys as well, which I think the demons still are active as well. We can live with that. That's fine. So these have technically got a pretty good chance of actually giving me an item, and I think their damage still is a little weird. But we'll deal. Yeah, these are also really annoying to hit. I almost forgot. Oh, that shouldn't be possible. You shouldn't be allowed to do that attack while I already have one of those on me. But I found Flame Essence. Neat. It actually turns out that whenever I I kill something, it just kind of gives me its item because the item spawns right on top of me most of the time, seemingly. So that might not be the best thing ever. And health essence. Then again, if we have a full inventory, it'll just spawn and kind of hang out. So it's probably fine. I want to pick up the experience. Come on. Ah, come on, that magic essence. There we go. I must say, it is actually kind of fun now that we have like these RNG elements of the items dropping to see the items actually showing up, and then also having that widget that I made for it. Like, seriously, why won't you pick up those items? Why won't he pick up those items? Say, oh, because, yeah, no, that makes sense. Well, these don't matter anymore anyway. And frankly, neither does this. All right, I think that is effectively going to be it for today. I think on Thursday when we come back with the next stream, we're going to maybe make the crafting system. I made a good start with like making the items and setting up the drop tables for everything now. But I think making the crafting system is going to be the next thing we do. And for everybody, which is quite a lot of people on the inventory series, who's like, hey, why are you doing this object-based with assets instead of making a giant data table with all the items, which is I don't like doing that. I think I have considered making the crafting recipes into assets as well. But I don't think I should. Maybe I should. I'm thinking that we just stick with data tables for the crafting recipes. But I'm not 1000% decided on that yet. We might talk about this a little bit amongst ourselves in the Discord server. I'll have about a day and a half, about 2 days actually, to think about that and decide whether or not I want to go with a asset-based approach or a data table-based approach. I just don't love data tables, man. I just not my vibe. So we might go for an asset-based approach, to be honest with you. But no, what? There's very likely going to be on Thursday stream where we make the crafting system so that we can actually like start putting the items that we gather from the drop tables together in a crafting menu to actually start crafting the spells for the game itself. And then we're getting close to having finished all the things that I want to finish for the playtest. So it's going to be fun. Just like this stream was fun. I'll see you all back next time on Thursday when we do some crafting stuff. And in the meantime, like between streams, I'm probably going to like just come up with some more items and whatever. And maybe think this through a little bit more with like what enemies should drop what item. And I think now we're also entering like a stage of development where instead of just coming up with enemies, I can come up with spells and then reverse engineer the enemies that drop the items that I would need to craft that spell. And I think that is a really useful angle to be able to have from a creative standpoint as well. Like the ice drop, for instance, and the lightning drop. I'm thinking maybe this guy's projectile can be a lightning projectile, and then he can suddenly like let's just like do that right away actually, because that's a pretty good idea. It might actually make sense more so for the spider. So the spider can, for instance, drop the lightning essence as well. So we add the lightning essence to this with like a drop weight of about 5. And now the spider will drop that because you have like these little generators on his back, and he's got like a kind of like digital feel to him to begin with. So that's the thing. And then maybe this guy can have ice projectiles. So the flying golem will then have the ice essence as a drop. Although I think making him have flaming projectiles actually does make more sense with the way he's designed. So maybe do flame essence for this guy. Because I don't think we gave... Well, this thing itself... oh, hold on, no. It's kind of annoying that it doesn't work that way. Yeah, he has the health essence as one of his drops, right? So... this one will have the fire essence, but now we still need we need an enemy that should be able to drop the ice essence, and I think at the moment we gave that to the Reaper, or I was gonna give that to the Reaper rather, but that might not make that much sense because we might want to have the Reaper have a specific item to himself that he can drop or something like that. So we might end up making an enemy specifically designed with like having ice essence in mind. And I'm already thinking we have the spells. We have the mine spell, for instance. So maybe I want to make something like a trick essence. And I've also been toying around with the idea of making a mimic because, again, every RPG needs a mimic, right? That's just the rule of law. And that adds up perfectly. Like making a mimic drop something called a trick essence, and then using a trick essence to make a mine. It's a little bit more destructive than just playing a trick on somebody, but it kind of fits the vibe. So we can start like binding these things together in like a almost like a world building sense. And it's going to help with generating new ideas and making everything like fit together and feel hopefully like a complete package. And then we have a bunch of these as well, which at the moment they are just going to like take in like magic essence and one or multiple of the soul items for each one of these, and then they might also include some other item drops that you need to use as well for those crafting recipes. But yeah, we're going to leave it there. Thanks everybody for joining in. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the suggestions and the questions and all that kind of stuff. And we'll be back on Thursday with some more stuff and maybe actually being caffeinated and being able to focus on something for longer than 2 seconds at a time. That would be nice.